The Invisible Gunslinger #1, and this is a bit unorthodox of me to be doing this right now. This is not my typical stream time, but I just felt like playing some Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. So I decided that, you know what, if I'm going to play it, I might as well stream it. Why the heck not? I got the time. I'm not expecting anybody to show up, but if they do, hopefully this is a nice little treat between streams. So I'm not really anticipating people to join in. This is very unorthodox. So I'm just going to be working on some challenge runs, and maybe I'll have some new people hop on in, or maybe somebody who's bored right now will join on in. But in the meantime, I will just be going down the list of challenges. Surprisingly, I've already done April Fool's, which is very weird. That's a really hard one. I don't know if these ones down here are like really hard, or if they were added for Afterbirth Plus or whatever. But we're just gonna start at the top and work our way down. Why the heck not? So let's see what happens. I'm excited. Let's go. And I also have a new chat box thingy here. I thought it'd look a little bit better than just blank blackness. But, you know, maybe some people like that. It's not really distracting. Now we've got a big gray box that says chat. Some people like that. I don't know. I'm just testing it out. I'm still doing this whole... You know, this whole streaming thing is still pretty new to me, I have to say, and it's just it's a real Wild West sort of thing here, and I'm just chilling out, playing Isaac. Why the heck not? It's nice and chill, and if nobody joins in, then what the hell? I'll just put it up on my channel as a or on my page as like a little challenge run. Like, here's a special little thing I recorded just for you guys. Not trying to be exclusionary or anything, just. Cricket's body, splash damage and tears up. Ooh, that's interesting. Just trying to include as much gameplay that I do on my Twitch page as possible. Because again, I don't know, I could play this on my own time. I really wanted to, but I was like, you know what, Gunslinger, you're going a little bit too far there. I think people really want to see your streams, even if they are, you know, after the fact. And that's fine. This is kind of my own little, not private thing, but if anybody wants to join in, this is actually kind of interesting. Hopefully, we might get somebody new. But in the meantime, I'm going to record as if I was all by myself. So this is a different sort of stream experience. So let's see what to talk about. Because it's getting near Halloween, I might as well talk about some of my favorite scary movies and scary or spooky stuff or whatever, or some things that I've seen during the Halloween season in the past. You know, why don't I just start by talking about my very first Halloween? Why not? When I was, I think, 1 year old, my parents took me out. Not even 1 year old. I believe I was even younger than that, because I was born in March, and Halloween rolled around, you know, after a little bit of time. Hello. Getting a Snapchat from a lovely young lady. Might have to look at that later. But yeah, so I don't even think I was a year old. I was a little baby, and my parents took me out trick-or-treating, and the very first house that they plopped their little kid at, they rang their little doorbell, whatever. I'm dressed, I believe, as Superman. They dressed me up as Superman, and immediately upon ringing the door opens, and there's this little itty-bitty, yappy, horrible dog right there, yapping in my face, scaring the shit out of me. Poor little baby me. And my parents felt incredibly bad, because it was just like, you know, for a little kid, little baby, that's a big dog. It's right in your face. Imagine if you open the door, bad trip. Imagine if you open the door and all of a sudden there's a big fuck-off dog who's as big as your body right in your face. Ugh. So my very first Halloween was quite scary indeed. And since then, what have I gone as? Oh, one particular Halloween, I took the time to dress up as Gruntilda from Banjo-Kazooie. I did the full 9 yards with the green skin and the nose and everything, and the witch's hat and all that. I just really liked Gruntilda's attitude and her rhyming and all of that back when I was a kid. She was so threatening that I was like, you know, that's a good, scary sort of villain. I don't think anybody got it. I think everyone thought I was just a, you know, generic witch, because, you know, Gruntilda's kind of just a generic witch. Data miner. Okay. We'll figure out what that does. Whatever. So yeah, that's one of the more notable ones. And then I believe the last Halloween that I dressed up, I was 15 or 16 or whatever. My sister was like 13, so she was still sort of young enough, pardon me, to go trick-or-treating. Oh god. Fascinating. Oh my, we're messing with the code of the game here. Oh. Oh, that's ugly. That's real ugly. God, what the fuck? Poor Pin. I always feel bad for killing Pin. Poor little Pin. He doesn't do anything to anybody. He's like the easiest fucking boss ever. Him and the Hollow. You know, the Larry Jr. boss basically goes diagonal. Easiest bosses ever. Really pathetic. At least in my not-so-humble opinion. So there's a notable Halloween. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I was in the middle of talking about a notable Halloween and then I got completely distracted. The last Halloween, that's right, the last Halloween that I dressed up as, and I know I could still go and dress up, but I didn't want to ask for candy, you know, I didn't want to do the door-to-door thing anymore. It felt a little too weird. But I knew this was going to be my last time, so what I did as a gag is I, you know, wore the little ghost sheet, but it only came to like my knees. So what I would do is I would go to the houses, trick-or-treat, while on my knees, so they think it's a little kid, and then they give me the candy, okay, bye, and then I'd stand up, thanks, and then walk away. It probably scared the shit out of them, like, holy shit, this little kid's huge, is this guy gonna come at me or something right now? So I probably unjustly scared the shit out of some people, but I was only 15, you know, we all do stupid shit when you're 15. We all have our own little obsessions. Have you noticed that? I feel like a lot of us in our teenage years go through obsessions. Nowadays, at least for me anyway, my interests are a little bit more varied. But back then, I mean, the three main things I did as a teenager for years was play video games, listen to audiobooks, and go on walks. That's what I would do a ton. And like, I mean like all day walks. Like I would walk like 10 miles. It was just crazy. And weirdly enough, it didn't make me very physically fit. I don't know why. I wasn't like eating on Cheetos or anything while I was walking, but I was definitely fairly husky at the time. And then weirdly enough, after I graduated from high school, my parents gave me a laptop as a graduation present, and then I became more sedentary, and I started playing more Steam games. That was actually around the time when I first started getting into Steam and Steam games, and I just sat down and played a whole bunch of Steam games. Monstro's lungs. Oh my. That's vile. That's disgusting. We're doing the Monstro attack, but like, oh, that's rough. I mean, that's pretty cool as an attack, and that's probably going to be pretty strong, but that's coming out of your lungs. That's vile. I'm sorry, that totally took away whatever the fuck I was talking about. Halloween, shit, all of that. Little corn guys. Hold on, I was talking about Halloween. Oh yeah, husky laptop stuff. Yeah, I was just really into playing stuff like Terraria on Steam and Team Fortress 2, and I would just sit there and I guess not eat. So I got really thin, like malnourished, you could even say. I went down to like, and I was like 5'11", and so I went down to like, God, I don't even know, like 135 pounds, 128, something like that. Really thin, really like underweight for a guy who's like 5'11". It was pretty concerning. Looking back on some pictures of that time, it's really weird. But anyway, Halloween stuff. Trying to think of some of my more beloved Halloween games. Actually, I used to watch, back when I used to watch Let's Plays, I don't really watch them now, because I'd make my own content, and it's, you know, ooh, hear a fire truck going by. They're coming to arrest me for not watching for being a hypocrite, for playing video games and recording them, but for not watching anybody else's. That's caused a bit of tension in the past with some of my colleagues. I'm more than happy to give, you know, tips and tricks and all of that. But I myself don't really watch content that much because back in the day, man, I used to watch like, who did I used to watch? I used to watch mostly British Let's Players. I watched Necroscope86, Kakoskia, Over the Gun. If you don't, everyone who knows who Over the Gun is, you just don't know you know, because Over the Gun is the guy who uploaded like the original Portal Still Alive soundtrack, or the original video. And he does Let's Plays and stuff like that, and he's pretty funny. I haven't caught up with him in forever. He actually watched one of my videos one time, one of my Boshi videos, and that was like a huge, like, gushing moment, like, oh my god, that's so cool, he knows who I am, kind of. Like, he probably just heard about me doing the I want to be the Boshi thing, and popped in for like a second, and was like, wow, this guy's really weird, and mentioned me in a video, I'll just say thanks. So it wasn't anything too huge, but at the time, when I was like 19, I was like, holy shit, that's so fucking cool that he mentioned me. Wow, real celebrity moment. Ooh. This really fucks with my shots. How weird. Anyway, oops. I'm sorry. I'm not used to the use controls on keyboard quite yet. It's been a while. Anyway, but yeah, now I don't really watch anybody. The only people that I'll really watch do any sort of video game commentary is probably the Angry Video Game Nerd, Cinemassacre specifically. James and Mike Mondays are always pretty cool, just because it's, you know, they have something that I don't have, where it's, I don't usually record with other people, just because, I mean, I get distracted enough as it is, just talking by myself. Talking with another person can be a little distracting. I've done it before, but it takes a very specific sort of personality that I mesh with, otherwise it comes off as a little, not forced, but like, I don't know. I feel like it's because I'm a little socially inept, probably. This is totally turning into a big, like, confessional video about me. My goodness, I'm just gushing all about my own personal life. But that's okay. Just because I don't have too much to talk about Isaac, you know. I will say I looked back on the original Binding of Isaac before loading this up. And my god, like, the visual difference is ridiculous. And it's funny, because when Rebirth first came out, I was told that, like, oh my god, the visual difference, like, you'll never want to go back. And while I'm not to that level of, like, I would never go back and play the original Isaac, I feel like they've added so many more details. I was under the impression that it was just like, oh, the pixel graphics look so much better, you know, rather than the line art. But no, it is more of a, like, they added so many little small details that it's so wildly interesting. You know what I mean? You know, we might actually be able to beat this challenge. It's not that long, and I'm really looking forward to it, because I do not like not being able to clearly see on my screen. It's not good content, I feel. You can barely fucking see what the hell's going on. Bursting Sack, Spider Love, Joy. Just, what else to talk about? I was just talking about something else. Hey, let's fuck them up. Hey, your head is off now. Oh my. This ability is strange. Oh, the vomit's going over there, and now it's over there. The game doesn't even know what the fuck to do with it. Is this a joke? This is a gag, because, like, Macmillan makes, like, fucked up games or something. Like, people complain to them, right? That's what this is. We're doing a spoof, a gag, a laugh, a lark, even. Macmillan? Okay, we're good. Okay. See, we're more than halfway done. Jeez. Getting through nice and fine. We might actually finish up quite a bit of challenges here. Now, this one isn't as dark. I can actually kind of see what the fuck is going on, which is nice. I wonder what the Curse of the Darkness looks like in, like, the utero, you know? But back to Halloween, just because I haven't really been talking too much about Halloween stuff. I will say that I have fond memories of the first time I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, which is one of the big... Oh, that guy's... You're kind of weird. This guy's kind of weird. Nightmare on Elm Street is one of the big 3 Halloween movies. You know, there's, of course, Halloween, and then Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street. And I always felt like, I don't know, that Nightmare on Elm Street didn't quite have the same, how do I put this? Freddy didn't have the same presence for most of the movie. He was more of a threat of like, don't go to sleep, don't go to sleep. You didn't see him on camera that often. I mean, every time you did, I mean, Robert Englund's performance was just brilliant. And it is more of a dread movie, but watching it again, you know, you kind of get tired of the teenage drama and the dad doesn't believe her and all that shit. I really wish there was more visceral stuff. But I mean, it was the 80s, so we can't really get on them about that. That was kind of when gore was really coming into its own. But I have really fond memories of that movie because that was a movie I watched with my dad, and he specifically sat me down when I was like 14. He called me into his room and was like, hey, I think it's about time you watch Nightmare on Elm Street. And I'm like, okay. And we both sat down and watched it and had a good old time. Definitely didn't do that with with Halloween or Friday the 13th. And he actually really persuaded me not to see, what's it called? The Exorcist for a long time. Like, he was like, look, even when you're, like, over 18, you probably don't want to watch The Exorcist. The Exorcist is really rough. And, I didn't quite appreciate what he meant until much later. I saw it when I was, like, 24-ish. And he's quite right. Quite right. There's some things in there that go beyond just, oh, it's gory or it's this. Also, this, the magnetic tears are fucking us over because, yeah, it's pulling the enemies towards me. This is not good. But if, I don't know. I feel like there's sexually disturbing stuff in that movie. In The Exorcist. I'm not going to say what it is in case anybody watching this hasn't seen The Exorcist. I'm going to try really hard to be as spoiler-free as possible while talking about this kind of stuff, just because I really try to be considerate about this sort of stuff. Even stuff that's really old, you know, like classic Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th or whatever. I don't like to just assume, like, oh, well, everybody should have seen it by now, you know. I mean, to say that is so, like, you know, oh, well, you know, that's something it's required. You should have seen it by the age of 20, whatever. But everyone's different. Everyone's got different tastes, so I try hard not to spoil stuff. Some things, you know, are too mainstream referenced to, you know, be spoiled. I mean, stuff about, like, Planet of the Apes has been spoiled to death. The Sixth Sense has had some stuff spoiled to death. There's a lot of movie quotes that are just kind of common phrases or things brought to your mind that spoil the movies that they're part of. You may not know what movies they are, but they're so ingrained into the... oh shit, there's Mom. Where is she? This would probably be pretty annoying to do if you didn't have the sound on, because you can't hear her laugh. You can only really see the shadows. And that might sound odd to say, like, why the fuck wouldn't you just have the sound on? But I do that sometimes. Sometimes if a video game soundtrack isn't overly impressive, I'll put on my own music or I'll watch a YouTube video or something. So, I don't know. If you had it muted there, that would be quite bad. Hey, now we can glitch the fuck out. How nice. Let's keep going with the challenges. Yeah, this magnetic tears thing isn't overly helpful, I must say. But this is the last boss, I believe, of this run. Too bad we don't know what the fuck our health is, but whatever. Let's just try to get some health before we go in, and we get nothing. So let's see how we do. Let's data mine this biznitch. This might hurt me more than help me. I don't know. Hi there. I'm Isaac. I don't know where you are. I'm probably gonna die for no reason. I don't know what's happening. Oh, I can see her dress. That's wild. The fuck? There's health. Got it. I think that might have saved our ass. And we did it. And she's all fucked up. Hey, hey. Feeling good. Let's briefly go into this room just so we can unfuck the room. Nice. And let's wrap this challenge up. Man, look at this guy. He's all ugly. So I guess if you feed him more money, he becomes more ugly, just like everyone else. Here we go. Wouldn't advise eating pennies, folks. The Rune of Haglaz. Yeah, that's some cause for celebration. It's cause for a brewski. I'm not actually drinking a brewski. I'm drinking a Dr. Pepper. I am not one for beer, I must be honest. When I went to England recently... Oh, wait, what was the name of this challenge? Toilet something. Anyway, wait. I need to know what it was. I was completely not paying attention. Highbrow. Highbrow. That sounds like another beer. I think that might actually be a beer. Highbrow. Oh, I get it. He's supposed to be peeing and pooping. It's all... Yeah, highbrow, because he's like... It's not highbrow. I get what you're doing here, game. But yeah, I don't know. What the fuck? Holy crap. Blue weird guys. Interesting. E? No. Keep getting them mixed up. Tears. Oh my. Well, that's nice. Now I can pee like the wind. Pee like I've drank a whole bunch of beer. But no, I'm not one for beer just because, I mean, I've had some okay beers. I actually live fairly close to a brewery, and I've gone there a couple times with friends, and they've got decent-ish tasting beers. Particularly some of their hard ciders are pretty good, but ew, it fills the whole room. That's disgusting. I don't know. It's not something I actively seek out. I don't usually drink that much anyway. Ooh. Toilet something. Oh, I get it. I get it. The little use item is supposed to be a toilet handle. Okay, so we like backed up their toilet or something. Hello? I don't think I've seen you, maybe? I don't know what the fuck you are. Looks like we got a boo situation on our hands. Oh, God. Oh, God. Wait, I think I saw this guy in a boss rush. Yeah, that face looks familiar. Here, take the bomb. Okay, now we can beat him regularly. Whoa, 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 whoa. Throwing out the brimstone attacks on me there, buddy. What are you doing? Whoa. Out of here. Out of here with that. Oh, good. Now I can pee really far now that I've got Mom's underwear on. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're looking. That's what we're looking for. Let's go get some health. But when I went to England, I had a really big beer, like a pint. And I drank it in like 20 minutes, not even that. Hold on, let me see what kind of beer it was. It was a W name. It was like a wine something or other. Weinberg? No, hold on. What the fuck was it? It was, I want to get this right. Wainwright, I believe. Hold on, I haven't seen the picture yet. It was a... Come on. I took so many pictures when I was out and about in England town. Just because, why the fuck not? You don't go on vacation very often. I need to show those off. There it is. Yes, it was a Wainwright. The Golden Beer. Oh. And that got me more drunk than anything I've ever drank. And I've drank some pretty hard whiskeys and gin and tonics and different kind of stuff. And that, for some reason, it just made me felt so bloated and so just fucked up. It was awful. So I will never drink beer pretty much ever again. It's not my choice. I like my alcoholic beverages nice. I like to have one alcoholic beverage is fine by me. I don't like to have multiple of them. I don't like feeling drunk. I'm more of a taste connoisseur, not so much a who cares, just dump it down my throat and let's get fucked up sort of thing. I'll usually have it with dinner, just one typically, and never on stream. I don't know. I always felt like that was kind of the ultimate low, you know, if you drink on stream, if you're doing commentary. Like if you're just like playing on your own, who the fuck cares? But I don't know. At least for myself, I've always tried to hold myself to a higher standard. It's like if you were at work, you know, you don't want to be, or like, it's like if you were building a model train. You don't want to be drunk while building a model train. It sounds funny. It sounds, oh, imagine what he would do, but it just sounds like the recipe for a headache, because you're like drinking and trying to concentrate on something intricate. You know, it just doesn't seem like a good idea. So yeah, that's one thing I've never allowed myself to partake in. But you never know what the future may hold. Maybe I'll be, in just a few years, the most interesting and funny man on YouTube for promoting alcohol that the kiddies will love, and they'll think, oh, that gunslinger's so funny when he's so drunk, I'm gonna grow up and drink and have fun like him. Blech. So that's, yeah, and that's the other thing too, is I know that my stuff isn't exactly, you know, age appropriate for the youngins, and they probably get more mixed alcohol messages from their parents than I could ever give, but you never know what kind of effect you're gonna have on people, and I like to think that I'm a positive, or at least a neutral. There's a piece of shit. I didn't realize before that it turned into just a big piece of shit. I mean, I saw it, but it didn't really register with me like, hey, that's a piece of shit. So while I'm not typically a think of the children sort of fellow, in this instance, I'm more of a like, well, alcohol companies, if you want kids to drink your stuff, you're not gonna get free advertising from me, you know? Although I have just talked about beer and hard whiskeys and stuff, but not any particular one, you'll notice. I have not mentioned any particular brand that I like or endorse. So that is my very thinly veiled little bit of moral high ground. I'm attempting to take the moral high ground just in this one instance because it's like, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you just feel like you should take that moral high ground, even though sometimes it feels pointless. You ever get that, where it's just, even though something feels kind of pointless, you feel like doing it anyway? That probably goes back to, oh, that's a little itty bitty tiny blind maggot. Let's cry it to death. Goodbye, little maggot, and we got a pill for that. Pill from beyond the grave. What you saying? We're becoming small, just like that little maggot. How cute. How nice. How utterly... how disturbing. We ourselves are becoming small children. I shouldn't be talking about this kind of stuff in front of Isaac. I'm so sorry, Isaac. Promoting alcohol stuff. I don't know if there's any alcohol power-ups in The Binding of Isaac, but if there are, give this game an X rating for promoting alcohol to children. You poor... He's not even a kid, he's a little fetusy boy. Goodness. Those weird, poopy, chargy guys are just something I hate. I hate those guys. Because I can never really predict when they're going to charge at me. Awful. Sup, Gertie? Gertie JR Jr., you piece of dog shit. Here, you're in my world now. Dance, water, dance! God, I gotta record Kingdom Hearts one day. There's a game that needs the gunslinger treatment. Holy shit. So bad. I could pick that game apart. I haven't played it in forever either. Oh good, we're really small now. That's fine. Look how teeny tiny baby small we are. Holy crap. Wow, I think that's the smallest I've ever seen, Isaac. How nice. That's why you don't do anything, kids. Your penis will fall off, if that even is a penis. Maybe it was just an 11th finger. Another toe. We took care of it. Maybe it wasn't even from the front, maybe it was from the back, and it was just a really gross, dangly piece of shit that fell off that he wanted to keep around forever. I don't know how this game works. I don't know what goes on in the minds of these disgusting creators that acknowledge poop. How dare they? How dare they acknowledge that poop and piss and shit and tampons exist? That's the greatest sin any mortal man can do, is acknowledging that this shit exists. I was gonna totally use the toilet power up there to make everything like shit, but whatever. Make me look like an idiot, game. See if I care. I don't. You think I don't? Because I want you to think that way. Anyway, what challenge? Oh, this is the Highbrow challenge. Right. Just trying to see how many I can do, and when I eventually run out of challenges, then I guess I'll play regular mode to try to unlock more challenges. I have no idea how to unlock more challenges. I am very not well versed in this more modern Isaac. Definitely an old school, original Isaac player. Not... Oh, here we go. Oh, thank God. Finally. A boss I recognize and can admire from afar while pissing on him. And there's some blood in my piss, too. Always concerning when you see blood in your toilet, no matter where it comes from. Even if you were to sneeze while, like, flushing and now there's blood in the toilet. I don't see how people get, like, nosebleeds and are just, like, so calm about it. My cousin gets that. She apparently has really big veins in her nose. She told me that one time. She's kind of a gross individual, but I love her a lot. She's my favorite cousin. But anyway, she apparently has really big veins in her nose, and if she sneezes a lot, she just, like a fountain of blood, super anime blood, comes out of her nose, and it's just disgusting. And I'm a little grossed out that I know that about her. But I mean, where do we draw the line? What bodily fluid is the absolute worst? Oh, they got flushed away. I knew a girl. Ooh. I knew a coworker of mine. She was going to be a nurse. She's not now. She's working at a wedding event center as an event planner, because apparently it's a lot less work, a lot less blood, and just a few bit more drug needles. And she told me once that no human liquid or no human whatever. Surprised you're streaming this late. I enjoy the taste of blood. Hello, Hellboy. I just decided to stream just as a gag, just, you know, because I was up and because I wanted to play the Binding of Isaac, so we're just going through and doing some challenges. So thank you for taking the time to join me. What a nice fellow. But I'll upload this whole thing later, so if people want to see it, they can see it. For commentary or challenge, or just to know how far I'm getting in the Isaacs. What was it? Blood. Oh yeah, so my coworker was telling me about which blood she... I'm sorry. Which bodily fluid she finds the most disgusting. And of them all... No, it's okay. I remember where I am. I'm getting better at remembering where the heck I am in my stories. She told me that her least favorite, or the most disgusting bodily liquid was snot. And that surprised me quite greatly. I was going through the big catalog of human liquids, and I was like, really, snot? She's like, oh yeah, if a patient has just like a super runny nose or something, and he's got a lot of snot, I can't deal with it. I'm like, that is so weird. No, my pee. I'm not taking that tick. That tick will never go away. But if I had to list the absolute worst liquid or whatever, I'd probably have to go with like liquid shit, just because, I mean, it smells, it kind of checks all the boxes, you know. It's unsanitary, it smells, you can get hepatitis from interacting with it. It's just, it's the bottom of the barrel, you know. And to put snot over liquid shit is just silly, in my opinion. She even like was like, oh yeah, pus, you know, blood, all of that doesn't bother her at all. Like, really, whatever. That's still to this day. She told me that like 3 years ago, and I was like, just flabbergasted by that. I was beside myself, if you will. Because I mean, snot. Everyone's got snot. I mean, it's like you wipe up snot off of like your little kid or something. I was trying to think of something you typically wipe snot off of, and I could only think of small children. But like, you know, people sneeze. It's one of the most common liquids to come into contact with is snot. I mean, you know, you're out and about, someone sneezes, oh, you know, bless you. But all the other ones, I mean, maybe not, maybe spit, you know, someone, you're talking and spitting on you. Isn't that one of the most awkward, like socially awkward moments ever? It's when you're talking to somebody, especially if you're talking about something, like if you're arguing with somebody, or you're talking about something you're passionate about, and you're talking, and then you both see that little spatter of spit, especially if it's more than one, if it's like a little spray of spit, and you both see it go and land on like their arm or whatever, and you just know, oh shit, that person just spit. And it's like this weird, socially odd little thing, but you both don't acknowledge it, because it's like, oh, well, you know, everybody kind of spits. A little. Especially me. This motherfucker's got a big old tongue in his face. I have to tell you that. I am very surprised that I can even talk. It just does not seem possible normally. And so I try really hard to curtail my saliva surprise, but it is not always successful. And it's awkward. And it, I don't know. Spit is, if you're gonna... Spit's probably the least for me. If I was to say the least disgusting, yes, snot's pretty gross. Spit is probably the least, but then that gets complicated because then you can intermingle spit and snot together into the dreaded loogie, which is just the worst. That's when you're being an asshole. That's when you kind of like make a loogie to spit at somebody. Then you are actively being a dick. For whatever reason. You know, I still remember there's when I was a teenager, I was watching one of those dating reality TV shows like Who Loves Flavor Flav or something, just some trash. And there was an epic spit, like some girl spit in the other girl's face, and it was like a holy shit, like she like wound up too, you know, she threw her whole head back and kind of got the momentum of the spit going, and it's like, holy shit, how much do you have to hate somebody, not to slap them, not to yell at them, but to spit? That's dirty. I guess spit is somewhat synonymous with disrespect. But I mean, every single other liquid you can squirt at somebody isn't exactly the best either. Goodness. Depending on the context. Yeah. So, anyway, getting away from this has been my TED Talk about bodily fluids. Let's just squish this motherfucker. Blood. If it's your own, you see, a lot of these are different if it's your own blood, spit, all that stuff, you know. Oops. But if I was to say a stranger's liquid, then the worst, I mean, just in general, the worst is gonna be shit. Your mouth has too much bacteria. Hold on, let me beat this guy and I'll read what you're saying. Blah, get rid of him. This guy's spitting blood. Asshole. Your mouth has far too much bacteria. In fact, spitting on people is considered aggravated assault. Ooh. Now that's interesting. Speed up sized. I am so fucking tiny. Look at that. I can cover him up with my thumb.
I'm drowsy.
Good for you. I'm not. This Isaac is so tiny. Aggravated assault for spitting on somebody. And again, I think that's probably because you have to, like, you know, like actually like a full-on spit. Like if you're just talking and there's a little bit of spray, it's probably not aggravated assault. It's incidental. It's almost like if you bump into something. That's the equivalent of bumping into somebody on the subway versus shoving them. You know, shoving them can be, you know, assault. But like the spit. Anyway, what if you you can cover him up with that fly? You can. He's so tiny. I need some stuff here. I need some bombs. Oh god. No, toilet goes down the, or shit goes down the toilet. Thank you. Wonderful. we're getting into deep intellectual discussions about the worst bodily fluids. Great. X-lax. This one.
Bested?
Question. It feels weird to be the only chat guy. I know, isn't it kind of odd? I really should have tweeted out to people. I'm hoping that people aren't upset with me for doing this. It's my great hope that this will just come as a nice surprise. You know what I mean? That this will be a nice little treat for them to watch at some point. I definitely did not do it with any malice in my heart. Like, oh, by the way, don't close your Patreon. You know, I did get your messages about that, and I'm glad that I discussed it before, instead of just doing it. So I'll take your advice to heart and not do it. I really should try to promote it more. I should really make a module. I just have to do more with it. You know what I mean? That's really what I gotta do. Thanks. Oh, it's no problem. I mean, I'm just... Sometimes doing this whole YouTube thing is a lot like being like a mailman. And I don't know people's preferences on what days they want to get mail and what days they don't. I know that's really weird, but like that's, at least off the top of my head, the closest comparison I can get. It's basically trying to talk to an audience that is themselves busy and doing other things. And sometimes you don't even know who they are, because not all of my viewers will comment or talk with me, so I don't know what they think or how they think. I know I can just ask. That's why I really have been liking this whole stream thing, because I can ask people directly, what should we play? What should we do? You know, that kind of stuff, and that's been great. So communication lately has been the best that it's ever been. Best that it's ever been. Just get through here, get to the bombs. So I'm very glad. So if I do make any missteps at times, it's usually because I'm trying to predict what people want, and I'm really bad at that. That's why unfortunately I've had a few very bad dates, because I'm bad at reading signals and subtleties and all of that. I don't think I'm a bad communicator, but yeah, sometimes when I have to assume what's the right thing to do, it does not go well. How can you even try to hit Isaac? I can barely even see where he is. These pennies are bigger than Isaac. What the fuck? Just wild. So small. Have you tried that Monster Hunter yet? I went to see if it runs, and it does run. I was actually considering playing it instead of this, but I didn't know if I could stream it and run it, because it seemed to run, but it was a little... I kind of closed it out of fear. I was like, okay, it like works at least, so I was just happy with that. I hate these enemies. But I have a few days off coming up, so I'm very much interested in playing it with other people on my Steam list. I have at least, well, I know you and one other person would really like to go on some monster hunts, and that would just be sick. Because I have played a little bit of Monster Hunter on my own, but I always felt like I've played Monster Hunter on the 3DS, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, I believe it is, and it's definitely fun. It's something that I like to do. It's something that I like to do when I'm watching like a long video. You know what I mean? When I'm listening to like an audiobook or something, then it's great, because the hunts are so long and usually pretty involved. But I have not yet had the pleasure of hunting with somebody else in any of the Monster Hunter games. And I'm hoping that that makes it really fun, but at the same time I'm hoping it doesn't change up the experience too much, because I'm looking back on some of the older Monster Hunter games that I have, like Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and I'm feeling kind of guilty, because I'm like, the online component, at least for that game, there's probably not that many people playing it, And if there, even if there is now, you know, one day there's not going to be. So I try not to, I try, if possible, not to get too invested in something that one day they can pull the plug on. Like Splatoon, the original Splatoon, I would never know, I wouldn't know, wouldn't even want to guess how many people are playing Splatoon 1 versus Splatoon 2, or how long Nintendo is going to keep the Splatoon servers alive. I mean, Splatoon has a single player, but it's very secondary. And actually, this leads me into a good topic. I was going to make an actual YouTube video about, like a discussion video, and that is why I don't play endless games anymore. Why I will, or specifically, why I will not play certain games like PUBG or Fortnite, because I've kind of... It's not that they're not good games. The problem is that they are very good games, but they just have an endless cycle. And I mean, technically Isaac kind of does too. You could play Isaac forever, but it has an end game, you know what I mean? Where you have all the items unlocked, and you have all of the achievements, and you've done the story. But stuff like, you know, Overwatch, Team Fortress, Counter-Strike, Fortnite, stuff like that, I just don't have the time for anymore, because there's so many games out there, and such a limited amount of time. I mean, I'm 25 now, and I have not even gotten to play some of the few games that I've wanted to play since I was like 18. You know what I mean? Some of the console stuff, some of the PlayStation 2 stuff that I got off eBay years and years and years ago have just sat on the shelf because I have not had the time, because I've been dedicated to either Team Fortress 2, Overwatch, or whatever kind of more, you know, long-term focused game. By the way, look at that. We got another challenge done. Rune of Jera. Okay. I don't know what any of this means, but I assume they're good. We're unlocking stuff. I'm happy. Head trauma, please. Oof. So this is head trauma. Oh my god. Oh my god. What the fuck? Holy crap. Okay. I'm glad that I can see the power-ups here. Looks like a rock, an iron bar, chocolate no, it must be something else. It's not chocolate milk. It must just be like regular milk, and a little cookie thing. Okay. Anyway. Oh my god. I'll bet you these bullets are probably really weak. Let's see. Oh my. They're a little bit better than I would have hoped. Or would have dreaded, rather. Anyway. So, yeah, that's the video I've been considering making. Just kind of laying down some ground rules for video games in my future. For myself, mostly. Just... The basic rules would be... I wrote them down somewhere in a notebook, but they would be something like, you know, a game has to have an end. I cannot play games that don't have an end anymore. That's kind of unacceptable, because I tend to get addicted and just play them forever, and it takes a severe mental effort on my part to stop. Like, quitting Overwatch was really hard. But thankfully it got easier as time went by, because they added a whole bunch of new characters, and they, you know, changed up the metagame, and now I went back and played it like 3 weeks ago for like 20 minutes, and it feels like a completely different experience, and I'm not invested in it at all, which is great, honestly, because now I can focus more on stuff like this. I mean, some of the single-player stuff I've played has just been great. The Subnautica thing, Putt-Putt saves the zoo, for fuck's sake. I don't know, I just want to try to vary my experiences more, and this is something that I was going to be doing for a while after my car accident. After my car accident, I kind of looked back on what I had been doing in my life, and how I have a habit of not finishing things. Typically with TV shows or movies or what have you, I would typically begin them, maybe even get through most of them, but then when I know that the ending is getting close, I would put it down and say, oh, I'll pick it up later, and then I never would, and I would never finish it or see it through to the end because I like the beginning so much, or I like the middle, and I didn't want to see it come to an end, or I didn't want to... Here's another way that we kind of fool ourselves into doing that. It's, I don't want to go through it too quickly. I want to take my time and enjoy it. You know what I mean? I think it'd be neat to play a game while streaming. While streaming is a totally different thing. Streaming is a completely different ballpark, but I just mean for like my personal time, I don't want to play anything endless because then that's getting into the realm of, oh, it's all on my own personal time. You know what I mean? So streaming is a completely different beast, but yeah, I just never really finished stuff. I mean, not to say never, but you know what I mean. I had more things left unfinished than things I had finished, and that left me very upset, and realized that if I had perished, had died in my little car accident, then I never would have really found the ending to some of these things, and that feels like a very unsatisfactory sort of conclusion to one's life. And, you know, ever since my dad died too this year, I've really been looking around at stuff that he didn't get to enjoy. Like, he'll never know certain things, like all these little weird power-ups in the Binding of Isaac, and it almost gives you this humongous sense of dread, because it's like, we all know intellectually, like, oh, we'll never know everything, you know, we'll never know this or blah 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 blah, you know, we all know that on the basic level, like, duh, of course, but just some things that he'll never know is so disturbing, because I know his personality and his character so much that I know what kind of stuff he would like and what stuff he wouldn't like. And I'm thinking now, well, what happens when that's me? You know, what happens when I leave somebody behind, which is inevitable, and how much stuff are they going to say, man, I really wish he got to enjoy blah 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 while he's still alive. I'm going to try really hard to minimize that. It's unavoidable because, again, movies and reboots and new TV shows will come out, and for the rest of my life I'll go, oh man, if only he could have... Let's see, I think about that stuff all the time, and I've always found it rather liberating. Isn't it, though? Isn't it just that it's like... It's almost hard to explain, because it's like if you haven't gone through such a loss and had those sort of feelings about, like, how temporary we are, then it can be kind of hard to wrap, like, oh, well, you know, I haven't seen all the episodes of Barney the Dinosaur, and you kind of think, like, well, shit, if I don't do it, then I never will. And some things it doesn't fucking matter. Some things, who the fuck cares, you know? I've never seen all of, I think of something really trivial. I've never seen every single episode of The Simpsons. Would I want to? Probably not, but there's an endless source of media, especially with YouTube. There's just things that you'll not only never see, but even if you see them, you might only see them once. In your whole life, you'll only see them one time, and then they're gone, and then it's just this hold on, I cannot say this. Really small, infinitely small part of the world. And that's the other thing too, is like you're hitting it right on the head there, where, you know, what makes up your perception and your reality is the stuff you consume, and the stuff that you know, the stuff that you bring into your own mind and personality. And that's like, I know we have fairly long lives, but do we? Sometimes some people don't. You hear all the time about people dying when they're like 20, 25, 1, 2, anything. We could all go at any time, and everything is so temporary. But we forget about that because we seek escapism from the dregs of our, you know, regular lives. Work and stress and bills and boredom, you know. Infinitesimally. Yeah, I can't say that. Oh, this is going real fast now. Infinitesimally. I said the beginning part right, but I said the other parts wrong. Anyway, To be fair, a lot of those young deaths are from party animals. I feel really bad. I don't know if you heard about this. I'm sure you probably did. But just for people who are watching this later on, recently there was a wedding party that was in one of those big Hummer limo things. And the limo driver was not a licensed limo driver. And the limo itself was not cleared for inspection. And they took it out anyway. And every person who was in the limo died. And it was like 20 people or something. And it's like, holy crap, like, you hear about car accidents, you think, oh yeah, maybe 1 or 2 people die. But that was like a lot of them. And the only thing that they did wrong was being in that limousine. You know, it doesn't matter if they were doing coke or drinking or whatever. It was all the driver's fault. They could have just been sitting on their hands doing nothing. And they just all went, and that's just so crazy. I'm sorry to make this so grim, but I mean, it is the Binding of Isaac, for God's sakes. If you're going to talk about this kind of shit anywhere, it would be in something like the Binding of Isaac, which takes concepts such as death, mortality, disgust, and makes it more cute and palatable. You know what I mean? And to say like, oh, talking about this stuff is too grim or too much of a downer is to kind of not acknowledge what's inevitably going to happen. Hey, I'm the only chat man, it's not an issue. Well, that's good. I'm glad at least you're okay with it. And I do appreciate you being here. If you do have to go at any point, though, don't feel guilty if you have to dip out. I'm probably going to record for maybe another hour and then stop, just so I can have time to go get some food and go to sleep so I can start streaming again tomorrow. I just wanted to do some of these challenges just because I haven't gotten to play The Binding of Isaac in such a long time. And I was thinking a lot about all this kind of stuff, but let's tell you what, rather than stop talking about all of this demise stuff, let's focus it back towards Halloween-y stuff. So Halloween stuff. If I had to say, you know, Halloween is a time of the year that I enjoy a lot, but I don't really do much for. You know what I mean? Boy, I'm probably gonna be up to the wee hours of the morning. Oh, by the way, how's your foot? I didn't really follow up with that. I'm so sorry. I completely sort of disregarded that. How has your foot? Is it completely all better now? I hope so. 'Cause that was rough. Yeah, those pictures you sent me were not the prettiest. Well, I'm glad that I can at least... In fact, I have a pumpkin sorted. Feels about the same. Oh my. Does it? Shit. Well, it's been like a couple months now since that happened, hasn't it? Feels like a while. Feels like it's been a long time. This last month has gone by very slow. But no, I don't really go out and get pumpkins that much. I really should. I love this kind of stuff. Scratch. Okay. Who's the boss? Pestilence. One of the horsemen. If I had to say which one of these horsemen is my favorite, I think I'd have to say War. War is a good little is a horseman guy. I mean, in the Isaac thing, I don't mean like the literal, like, which of the 4 horsemen is my favorite. And least favorite is quite easily Death. Death is a son of a bitch in this game. Hate him. Just because you have to kill him and his horse, which is annoying, I feel. We're doing okay on this challenge. This isn't too unmanageable. I'm kind of sort of getting most of the hits, but I'm sure there's a lot that I'm missing. If I can, like, get him just right. There it is. It's having to move and adjust yourself. If I just didn't have to move, the game would be really easy, man. Whatever, man. There we go. Also, what do you think of the border around the chat box? I'm trying something new with that. I wasn't sure if that was a good... Let's see. 1 month. It happened on the 10th of September. That's actually the day before I started substitute teaching, oddly enough. I started substitute teaching on 9/11, which is interesting. An easy day to remember, for sure. Here's a flower. Here's my penis. Glad I could bring you such happiness and joy. Goodness. Don't take that sound clip out of context, for the love of God. Oh, man. I also have to say that I'm streaming right now because I felt a certain amount of guilt for today's stream earlier. I don't feel like I did a very good job, and when I have those sort of things, it sits on me to have that sort of guilt. I guilt myself a lot, and I really shouldn't. I really, really shouldn't. Oh, I thought I could hit those. Oh, look at that. That's kind of cool. It's probably better with more chat people. Well, yeah, it is. But, I mean, you know, today was just rough because I played Getting Over It for like 40 minutes, which was way longer than I meant to. And I fell all the way fucking back. And I just have a lot of general anxiety, and I really shouldn't. I think I should probably go to the doctor and get that taken care of. Man, could you imagine if I was actually more confident of myself? Holy shit, I could take over the goddamn planet. But then Bayonetta didn't end up working. Bayonetta, for whatever reason, the sound wasn't working, or the music wasn't working. So I got these really weird cutscenes where people would be talking, but there was no music. And that sucks because the music in Bayonetta is like one of the main reasons why you play. So I was just fiddle fucking around with that for like 30 minutes trying to get that to work, and that didn't work. And then Harvester rolled around, and Harvester hurt my brain so bad because it was... If you haven't seen the point and click Harvester, it is unrelenting in its madness. And it's not always interesting madness. It's even the trivial things are ridiculous and like just convoluted, and it's really sometimes hard to commentate on that kind of shit because it presents itself. But I also think the gray might get jarring in certain games. That's true. I might have to change up the background depending on what the game is. The chat box. But for this, I think it's okay for now. Maybe I'll get a standard picture or something. Get like a certain... I didn't want to just do black. I felt like black would seem a little lazy for the chat box. A wood dime. How lovely. But I know some people do it. Hell, I didn't even used to have the chat box up for a long time, and that sucks. I've got a lot of streams where I missed out on a lot of really good chats because I did not take the time to record them. I have a vague... Yeah, I Have to Mouth when I'm a Scream is the same sort of unreality. And again, it's hard to commentate on because how do you... When it presents itself as so utterly insane... To say this is fucked up or this is crazy or this is odd, it's like, well, yeah, you know, it almost defies commentary because it is its own sort of thing, you know what I mean? That's why I find it hard to play certain games like the Stanley Parable, Bastion. Those both have announcers or narrators, and to commentate while someone else is trying to commentate over what you're doing is just, that gets really complicated. That's why I like games like, just silly narrative games like God of War, Kingdom Hearts, Silent Hill, you know, games where the characters are definitely going through weird shit, but there's a certain basis in some sort of reality that you can depend on. It's not just a complete shit show, you know what I mean? And because it isn't a complete shit show, that makes the situations that they get into, the characters, even more ridiculous because it's supposed to be in some kind of sane world. It's like, haha, you claim to be sane, but there are some things that make your game a little weird. But I Have to Mouth and I'm a Scream is like, well, what the fuck? Okay, you are a man made of ape shit, and you are eating things that you shouldn't be hurt. Oh god, you know. I'm getting my ass kicked here. Oh god. Oh, I don't want to die to this guy. No, not to greed. Come on. He's so close. I can take him out. Got him. Ooh, some health would have been nice. I think those gaps in commentary are just as enjoyable. Yeah, I need to really allow myself for gasps of like horror, because a lot of the times I'm afraid of those silences. You know, when you're specifically sitting here and you're, you know, doing commentary, especially if you don't have any visual stuff. I've always stayed away from face cams. I've never been interested in that. That's why I started the whole channel as the Invisible Gunslinger, because I've never had much of an interest in that. Although I will say that if I did, oh god, if I did decide to do a face cam thing, I have quite the expressive little face here, and if I did do that, I think my popularity would skyrocket exponentially, because some of this can get pretty funny. Anyway, okay, so head trauma beat me up. Let's do When Life Gives You Lemons, just as a change of pace.